everyone, thank you for stopping by my channel today. I mentioned in a haul recently that I picked up the Benefit Do the Hoola liquid bronzer, and I also indicated that I didn't know how skilled I would be at using a liquid bronzer and what this was going to be like, and so I was really interested in trying it out. And so if you want to know some of my thoughts on a liquid bronzer, the Do the Hoola, then just keep watching. I mentioned in my top 5 high-end beauty product video, which I will link down below, that without a doubt, my most favorite bronzer ever was the original Benefit Hoola bronzer. And I talked about how this bronzer was just so multifaceted and you could use it a whole bunch of different ways. It was not too warm to be a contour, but not too cool to be an all-over bronzing face warmer. I mean, it can do no wrong. Oh, except it swatches awful. Like, I'm not even gonna swatch it right now because you try to swatch it and like nothing shows up on like the palm of your hand or anything. But when it shows up on your face, it's like beautiful magic. Can't explain it. I no longer ask any questions. I just accept it for what it is. I'm gonna start by saying don't fix it if it ain't broke. Maybe I set really high expectations for this because of how much I love the original Hoola. But there were a couple of differences that made me just say, okay, you know what? I just need to stick with what I know. Happy I tried it. First of all, the color does not resemble the original Hoola bronzer at all. I was assuming, and maybe that was my mistake, I was assuming it was gonna be kind of a liquid version of what the box container was, what the powder was, and it really isn't. I feel like just a little bit that this liquid bronzer is a little bit orange. So just really quickly swatched on my hand, it does have just this kind of not 100% bronzy sort of look. Now, an orange based bronzer might work really well for certain skin tones, and so, you know, this can't possibly be a universal product, but just for me personally, it is a little bit slightly orange, and that made me flinch a little bit. An important distinction to make here is that this is a liquid bronzer. This is not a cream bronzer. And I can hear that the two words are actually different, but I think also personally I was just kind of expecting, since it was not a powder bronzer, it was the other kind. And as it turns out, there is no other kind. There's two other kinds. There's a liquid and then there's a cream. Here is my issue with this being a liquid. It can very easily apply very streaky. You have to work quickly because this is a liquid and it wants to dry. So if you encounter the streakiness, you have to work very quickly in order to get rid of it. Quite frankly, that's a little bit too much work for me. I don't know. Is that too much to ask that I need my makeup to be kind of flawless and seamless and quick and easy? And so aside from those special occasions where you want to spend a little bit of time getting ready, generally speaking, I don't have all the time in the world when I'm doing my makeup, and so dealing with streaks is not something I need to introduce into my routine. One of the ways to deal with streakiness is to spread it out, right? Think about your liquid foundations. They work well and blend seamlessly because we're applying them all over our face. Well, we don't want to apply a liquid bronzer everywhere. So in addition to dealing with the streakiness, the way that you would try to deal with that, you can't, because you don't want to put liquid bronzer everywhere. So you're dealing with much smaller surface areas, you know, on your cheekbones, along your hairline, maybe a little bit along your jawline. But because you're not applying it everywhere, trying to counteract the streakiness that you may encounter becomes very difficult because you're trying to keep the bronzer in only specific locations. When it comes to cream products, they are just typically much easier to deal with. And the reason for that is because they maintain their consistency. Whether you're applying it into the contours of your cheeks or whether you're just applying it as a bronzer all over your face, you take your brush or you take your beauty blender and then you can buff it in. You're starting from a place where the product has been laid consistently. You are in control of the blend. I felt like with the Do the Hoola, I was trying to catch up because as I would try to apply it, whether it be with a beauty blender or with a brush or with my fingers even, I felt like I was trying to catch up in order to make sure that I was blending it out evenly and smoothly. And on top of it, I wasn't a fan of the color, so I was just kind of all over frustrated. Can you imagine the day I go to apply it, but I don't have the time to make sure that I've blended it out well enough? And can you imagine me walking around town with little streakies on my face? Oh my goodness. That being said, I kind of imagine and anticipate that the Do the Hoola might actually just really work as a like spot body bronzer. Like if you want to add a little bit of dimension to your collarbone or to your, what do you call this? There's a French word for that. But for me and my face, we did not really get along. And actually it kind of made me frustrated, which then made my blood pressure go up, which is not what makeup is supposed to do. Makeup is supposed to be your friend. And apparently I am very bitter about that. So those are just my quick thoughts on my experience with Do the Hoola. At this point, I say do the Hoola in the box. Go with the powder. You cannot go wrong with the original Hoola. And if you decide to actually do the Hoola and it works for you, then congratulations, and I'm really happy for you. She and I, though, not so much. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. If you liked this video and felt like you learned a little something, then give this video a thumbs up. If you're one of my subscribers, thank you and welcome back. And if you haven't already subscribed, I would totally appreciate it if you did. What's your favorite bronzer, or what are your thoughts on the Do the Hoola? Am I doing something wrong? I am open to suggestions. Leave me a comment in the comment section down below. I am on Instagram and Twitter, so if you have a minute, check me out over there. I look forward to seeing you in my next video, and in the meantime, thanks.
But as for me and my face, we did not learn it. Oh my god. I look forward to seeing you in my next video. And so if you want to know some of my thoughts on a liquid bronzer, I felt a little bit like the Statue of Liberty right there, holding up a big old, like, gauntlet or something there. Look how flashy it is. It's so flashy.